everyone, and welcome to Taking Over. I am, of course, Ol'Ed Ed Fries. This is the natural Astrid Pizarro, and we are back with another wonderful show. As you can see, it's a very black and white show because we are here in Lynbrook, New York for Creative Pro's wedding extravaganza, Till Death Do Us Part. And again, if you want to check out Creative Pro Wrestling, which you should, you can find them up there on YouTube at Creative Pro Wrestling or creativeprowrestling.com. A little bit about Creative Pro Wrestling, because this is a promotion that I actually know a little bit about before the show. This is a promotion where the head trainers and people who are running the promotion are Brian Myers of TNA Wrestling and Pat Buck. Mm-hmm. So, familiar names for anybody in the wrestling business. You will have known both of them. You might know Brian Myers as Kurt Hawkins if you're an older WWE fan. Pat Buck has been a producer for a variety of companies. I believe he's currently in AEW. I know he was with WWE for a while. I think he went to AEW to work over there for a while. Stars you might know from Creative Pro Wrestling. Well, the biggest star that you're going to know from Creative Pro Wrestling is their biggest star, of course. He is Maxwell Jacob Friedman. He's better than us, and we know it.
No, he's not.
He is. He really is. Zach saying, hello, happy Taco Tuesday. Amanda agrees. It is indeed a Taco Tuesday. Hello, Miss Amanda. Thank you for joining us. We've got Joe in the chat. Hello, Joe. Thank you for joining us. The Ogre Lord is here asking how we're doing. It's been a day for both of us. Neither of us have had a good day. This is going to be the highlight of both of our day. So we're excited for this. Brett Martinez is here as well. Hey, I've seen you. Yes, you have seen us somewhere. And if you're talking about Joe, you'll have seen him in some of the chats here. This stream was a nice surprise. This stream is the stream that's supposed to happen every Tuesday night. Unfortunately, it didn't happen last week. We had some unfortunate circumstances come up that we weren't able to do it last week. But it made it better because tonight we're covering Creative Pro Wrestling. Next week, I'm going to just start with this. We'll mention it again at the end. Mm-hmm. We are covering Wrestle Pro's Killer Smoke Show, the re-debut of the indie scene for Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux. They will be in the main event of that match in a no disqualifications match against Richard Holiday. So, a name that we're very familiar with on this show because we've covered him a couple of times. So, I'm very excited to see that show. So, that will be what we're doing next week. We then have Dean 3 coming in 2 weeks. And then you're going to have Ed and a special guest or two. And we're not sure what we're covering that because the show I want to cover happens on the 14th. So it depends how quickly it gets to Indie Wrestling TV about whether or not we cover it on the 21st. Because this one will be traveling to her homeland. She's very excited to go back home. So let's just hope that she can come back because leaving is one thing. Coming back is an entirely different thing. Speaking of leaving, I do want to ask you, Astrid. Big news was made just the other day. The Super Bowl announced that WWE superstar, because I feel like we can call him that now, WWE superstar Bad Bunny is going to be doing the Super Bowl halftime show. I'm excited. What about you?
I mean, I've said it before. I don't listen to his music, but at the same time, I can't deny what he does for the island and the way he represents us. So I'm very excited. Who knows who he'll bring up later on. So
yeah, no, I'm excited for it. My question is, which stadium will have a better pop for him? Will it be the show that he did in Puerto Rico for WWE at Backlash, when Can Be a Hit and that crowd lost their ever-loving mind? Or will it be the Super Bowl crowd when he comes out to do his show? Which will have a better crowd reaction this session?
We'll have to wait and see. But, yeah.
Brett is looking forward to the next trip through the territories, as always, and you can catch those on Thursday nights. I don't know when they're doing the next trip to the territories, but I do know that we're working on a very interesting trip to the territories for late October, maybe early November, depending on if we can nail down a very special guest. Ophelia Payne says the Backlash pop will be better. Bobby says he doesn't think he knows when the next trip to the territories is. So that means the one that I'm talking about might be the next one. Also, we have Ophelia saying, "Hey, Brett," and "Oh my God, it's Astrid." And yes, people are here for Astrid, not for me. I understand. Oh, Brett. Uh-oh. Brett's made an enemy for life. STG is here for Astrid. Again, everybody's here for Astrid. No, not next week. The one I was just talking about. I haven't even talked to our potential special guest yet. I forgot. I've been busy.
Have you?
So, yeah, I bet you're salty about that fantasy football loss. To me. But again, that's not for the show. I mean, I can get not being into his music. It is what it is. Like, I get. I'm far too smoke showed for this. No, that's next week where we all get to be smoke showed. Not this week.
I'll give you brownie points for that one.
I'm telling you, lawyers are going to get into it. All right. We're almost 10 minutes into the show. We need to talk about Creative Pro Wrestling here. Astrid, tell me what you thought of Creative Pro as a whole. This is your first appearance. This is your first time watching Creative Pro. What do you think?
I mean, aside from having Sidney in another show, which I hate to see. That's my downfall. Is having Sidney Bakabella in another show, but that's a different story, I guess, for a different day. I feel like overall I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So I was really excited to watch it. A lot of the face, I would say like half of the faces we heard about as we've been covering, doing this change and taking over. And some of the other ones are already familiar as it is. So pretty fun to see what's going on here and how the storylines progress later on too.
Yeah, I'll say this. This is my first time sitting down and watching a full Creative Pro show. I've watched Creative Pro matches before because they house a lot of great talent. Creative Pro Wrestling Academy does a talent exchange with with Chaotic Wrestling. At their anniversary show, they had a special showcase match, which was 3 Creative Pro talents versus the unit. So there's a whole bunch of fun there. I think Creative Pro is probably one of the premier New England promotions. It's a bit south for calling it New England because it's New York, and New York is not part of New England. But that Northeast territory, like this is the end of that Northeast territory. Like this is the New Jersey, Long Island, New York kind of vibe. The only promotion we haven't covered that I think fits in that bubble with Creative Pro Chaotic is House of Glory. I think that's the only one of the Northeast premier promotions. Because we've covered Chaotic, we've covered now Creative Pro, we've covered Beyond. I think the only one left that we haven't done is House of Glory.
And to be honest, I'm hoping that they do some kind of card that we can cover because I've been wanting to watch them. And I know they teased about opening a school here and having events here in the area. I'll be waiting for that because I would like to see some of that over here too.
You can't even spell Canadians properly. Bobby, put down the keyboard, Bobby. Put down the keyboard. The phone that I took my notes on died, so I'm trying to get it charged just enough. So I'm going ahead and doing that. Let's go through. Let's see. Bobby once said, "You like that?" No, Bobby, the Wacky Tobacco, never. Bobby would never. No, it's not a flip phone. It's an old Samsung Galaxy. I do not have a flip phone. So I have 2 phones. I have the phone that has like my text messaging and like my regular phone. And then I have a secondary phone, which I used when I was in the office to play podcasts on, things like that. It's a YouTube phone. So that I could have my phone to make phone calls, to do things like that, but also have a phone that I could use for YouTube or podcasts, things like that. No, I didn't say Samsung 2. I said Samsung, an old Galaxy Samsung.
That's like me having my iPad just to watch things.
Bobby, so. I will not let you talk bad about El Asesino. El Asesino is a wonderful man who does great things like kick Bobby in the face. Jesus. Thank you, El Asesino. That was great. All right. Let's go ahead. I've waited long enough. I think I finally have my notes. Try and stop. I mean, I could try and stop you. I can just stop putting up the comments.
I mean, you know what they say about... I was going to say, you know what they say about people with 2 phones?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And if that were the case, I'd have more money to go to more wrestling shows. And I wouldn't be working street team for TNA. More on that at the end of the show, because I've got a whole thing for that later on tonight, so don't you worry. We'll talk more about that later. All right, Creative Pro Wrestling Academy. Oh, I don't even have notes on this for that. All right, we're using Astrid's notes because my notes are nowhere to be found. We started out with the Creative Pro tag.
Too.
I am apparently. Lynbrook, New York. The Knights of Columbus Hall in Lynbrook, New York. We have Bobby Thrills on commentary. What did you think of solo commentary on this show tonight?
Actually, I don't think I have anything compared to like the last show. I don't think I really have any notes of like commentary being bad per se. I feel like they really gave a background on things, especially I'm trying to remember which match it was, but it's one of the last ones. No, but I feel like they gave a lot of background into the Bryce Donovan Evil Kip one. I feel like especially that one was my favorite one because I feel like they gave a lot of background into their story as the match was happening. So I don't have complaints about it, but I'll say if I had to highlight one match, it was definitely that one. The commentary was the best part.
Yeah, I think the commentator Bobby Thrills did a really good job being by himself, of constantly chatting, which is hard to do when you're by yourself. And I thought he did a really good job of telling the stories of the matches as they developed. Not so much telling the stories about the history of everything, but to keep letting us know what's going on, things that are on the outside looking in. It's really great. Our Creative Pro Tag Team Champions, the Shooter Boys, Aaron Ortiz and Anthony Vecchio, otherwise known as B3 from our previous shows, the B3 Boys, taking on StarStruck. Anthony Green, Channing Thomas, with their manager, Sidney Bakabella. I will say this. No. The Shooter Boys are awesome. The B3 Boys leave a lot to be desired. This match was incredible. I like the story of Sidney Bakabella causing trouble before the match by hitting on, I won't even say hitting on. He told Anthony Vecchio's mom to meet him at the Motel 6.
Yuck.
Which is a bit disgusting.
A bit? More than a bit.
But I will say, with the Sidney Bakabella character, this is something you would have said on television in the period of time where his character exists. These are the kind of things that you would say to a person like that. So the comment isn't out of nowhere. It's not out of pocket, so to speak. And again, obviously, this is a cleared comment that went through Anthony Vecchio and most likely his mom too. Because I don't think they do this if everybody's not on board. This isn't WWE where everybody just does it because they're told to do it. This is a place where people get asked permission and things happen. But I love the edge that it gives the Shooter Boys in this match. But go ahead. I want you, Ashley, to go ahead and talk about this, because I think this is the first time you're seeing the Shooter Boys as the Shooter Boys.
Yeah, I remember seeing them. I think it was separate in one of the other promotions. Was it Wrestling Open that I think we talked about? But
oh yeah, it's Beyond Wrestling. They were in a tag match.
Yeah, that's what it was. So yeah, no, I really enjoyed them, and I already enjoy StarStruck as it is. I just don't like Sidney. If I could get rid of Sidney, I would be a happy camper even better than I already am with StarStruck. But what I love about this match is the fact that they start so fast paced already and grab your attention from the get go with this match to begin with. And that's, as most of you might know, this is the type of style that I like, having a fast paced, that tag team, the back and forth, the hot tags, all that kind of stuff. So having this happen the way it did, I feel like everything happened the way I wanted it to. So I was a happy camp with this starting off because it really hyped me up for the rest of the show. So that's what made me think this was a great pick to be an opener for this event. Because if you're hyped up already for this, then you want to continue watching the rest of the show, which is what you want it to be. So overall, I really enjoyed the action. It was so fast paced. I feel like I like those moments that you can't even keep up with them. And that's how it feels in this match. And it's like when I can keep up with you and I'm just enjoying it, that's when you won me over. So I would say both tag teams I really enjoyed. I love them both, really, to be honest, after this.
I keep coming back to this because we keep seeing Channing Thomas over and over again. Mm-hmm. No matter what part of the country we cover, we seem to find ourselves talking about Channing Thomas. Yeah. It's Action Pro Wrestling in the South. It's New York here. We covered him with the Beyond Wrestling show. We covered him for Dreamwave in the Midwest. Like, Channing Thomas is a star. Channing Thomas is that traveling wrestling star that goes everywhere and anywhere, and his gimmick works everywhere because it's just world-class Channing Thomas. He's a world-class wrestler. He just fits perfectly. And you would think that him and Anthony Green would be two polar opposites that could never make a thing work. But the idea that Anthony Green is what Channing Thomas wants to be, that guy who's gone everywhere and done everything. Mm-hmm. Anthony Green has worked for Ring of Honor. He's worked for AEW. He's worked in NXT. He's worked in Japan. Anthony Green has done everything. He is the alternative Anthony Green. And he is indeed the best thing in wrestling. I love the two of them together. And Anthony Green picks up that speed that the Shooter Boys can do. Mm-hmm. Because Channing Thomas can do it, and he did in this match often, be able to keep up with them and their speed. But that's not his game. And I like how well they work together as heels. You have to have the baby faces as the Shooter Boys. These are your prototypical, lovable baby faces. Very much world's greatest tag team, Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin. They give me that feel of these two guys. They can wrestle. They can talk, as we've seen in some of the other things. I think these guys can talk. They've got it all, but they're very young, very green, still learning things. And fantastic match here. The hot tag to Ortiz, I think, changes this whole match. With having had StarStruck take advantage of Vecchio being over-aggressive at points during this match and being able to get that hot tag to Ortiz, just set this match off right. Sidney gets involved as he should. And then at the end of the day, Vecchio gets the win. Anthony Vecchio gets the pin. The Shooter Boys retain their title. And poor Sidney's left all in the ring by himself. Oh, hold on. Shelton Benjamin, the gold standard, couldn't cut a promo to save his ass? I'm sorry, sir. I disagree. I will not say that Shelton Benjamin is a fantastic promo. I won't say he's a great promo. But Shelton Benjamin can cut a halfway decent promo on any show. I mean, the gold standard era of Shelton Benjamin is really an underrated era of Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin and his mama are some of the best Shelton Benjamin in the world. And his mom. It wasn't his mom. But no, I mean, I will agree. Shelton Benjamin was never a top tier one, but Shelton can cut a promo with ease. No. People forget. People go, oh, he was WWE ECW level promo. You have to forget the people on WWE ECW. It's Christian Cage. It's Kurt Angle. It's the Sandman. It's CM fucking Punk. I mean, Joe's right. I mean, hell, Name Redacted himself was on that program cutting killer promos. Pun slightly intended. John Morrison was in WWE ECW. Like you're saying 2009, like I'm going to remember everybody there at that point. But we're still talking about like a variety of big name WWE stars. I mean, The Miz was down there at one point towards the end of WWE ECW. Like, and if we're just talking about like the WCW guys who came in through that promotion, most of them cut better promos than the WWE guys because I'm a fan of old school of ECW. I think those guys cut some really good promos. Hell, I'm going to a show because of the fact, because I need to see the Dudleys cut one last promo after they face the Hardys at Bound for Glory. By the way, lots of Bound for Glory stuff this week and next week, so be ready for that. Anyways, back to our regularly scheduled programming. The Shooter Boys kind of go ahead. Yes, and then what happened at Creative Pro? Yes.
Is Ophelia here? See, I keep him on track by just looking at him now.
The Shooter Boys got the win. They got Sidney Bakabella all to themselves. They really didn't get their hands on him too much. He got away, but they did indeed get a hold of him again. They brought him up to Mrs. Vecchio. She got a nice slap in on him. Aaron Ortiz stole his wig and was running around with it. The fans were chanting bald. By the way, apparently Ricochet is over everywhere because they were chanting Ricochet's chant here more than once. So I was wrong. Ricochet apparently is over. Sorry.
Sure.
We then get to one of Astrid's favorite matches of the night, and I'm going to let Astrid talk a bit about this one. Bryce Donovan of the Vanity Project taking on Evil Kip.
I wish I could say he was not part of the Vanity Project because he can be great by himself. He doesn't need the Vanity Project. But that's a different story. No, this is what I was saying earlier, that this is my favorite match with commentary and one of my favorite ones of the night overall, too. I like how they really went into the story that they lost the tag team titles and now they're going against each other here, one-on-one the way they are. And it's one of those, like, even though Bryce is the heel, you also have Evil Kip trying to do his own thing as well. So I feel like that was very, how do you call it? It's like it was balanced in such a way that I wasn't expecting it. And Bryce, I feel like this is one of those matches that is one of my top Bryce matches, if not my like completely top one, because he was so in control most of this match, and he was able to show off himself so much, and I really enjoyed that part of it. Like that Black Hole Slam was definitely one that I super enjoyed the way that came out of nowhere. That was beautiful to watch. But it's like you have that back and forth, which is pretty interesting to watch, of them both kind of distracting and doing something to the referee. It's like one would do the rake of the eyes, and the other one would, like, Evil would come with the low blow, and the other one was gonna use the chair. And it's like they have such a back and forth that at the same time, like, who's gonna win, because they're both doing the same things to each other but trying to distract the referees. So who's really gonna take this victory? But I'm glad at the end that Bryce is the one that won.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about this match. Evil Kip was new to me. I've never really seen him before, but I liked him. I thought he was really good. Again, I mean, Bryce Donovan, I watch him on Evolve. I've seen him up here. I thoroughly enjoy a lot of the things that Bryce Donovan does. He's a big, tall bastard who can move around the ring. He can do all the things he needs to do, but he can also cut that promo that he needs to cut to be able to get his point across. But he's also a bit of a bastard, and you kind of need that. Like, every promotion needs a big, tall guy who's a bit of an asshole. And Bryce Donovan fills that role just perfectly. Mm-hmm. You say he doesn't need to be in the Vanity Project. He doesn't need the Vanity Project, but they absolutely need him.
Yeah, that's a different story, but he doesn't need them, which is my point.
Yes, but I think he makes a lot of sense there because you have Ricky, Jackson, and Brad, who are all these smaller guys. They're on the small side.
Yep.
You have Zeta Steel, who's fantastic, but on the smaller side. So you need that heater. You need that big guy. Bryce Donovan fills that role fantastically. I do love how commentary puts over that these guys were a tag team. They lost the tag. They lost a big tag match. That's what spurned Bryce Donovan's hatred for Evil Kip. That's what spurned this match. Evil Kip came out and said, "We're changing the format. This match is happening now." I love that idea of this is exactly where this match was supposed to be on the card. It was. But you don't, the audience doesn't know that. So when he comes running out and says, "I'm changing things. We're doing this right now," that's really cool and interesting. I like that. It gives that show that different feel. It gives it something else. And I do love a match where it's both guys trying to out-cheat each other a little bit. It's never a bad thing.
That rarely happens. I feel like I don't remember the last time I remember seeing that.
Yeah, but and again, that's the joy of the indies is that you can hardly do this on television wrestling. Like you couldn't have Kazarian take on Trick Williams and have them race to cheat each other for the championship. You couldn't do that. But you could do it here with this. And like I said, I really enjoy this. As always, Bryce uses the bat. Bryce gets the win. That's fine. We need to keep building Bryce Donovan. Build Bryce Donovan to the moon. Because Bryce Donovan is chef's kiss fantastic. To the moon.
Haven't heard that in a while.
Then we get to my match of the night, which is the Creative Pro Television Championship match between the most trusted man in professional wrestling today, TJ Crawford, challenging Dante Drago is the best. Now, commentary here did make a slip up. He says that Dante Drago's catchphrase, tagline is that Dante Drago is the best. No, that is incorrect, good sir. Brian Thrills, I apologize for this. That's not how this works. It's his name. His first name is Dante, his middle name is Drago, and his last name is the best. Dante Drago is the best. It's essentially all one word. It just comes all out right away, just all in one. That being said, drink. This match was fantastic. These guys, when you talk about speed and precision and everything looked good, and okay, almost everything looked good, and you talk about how everything was just so fantastic in this match. And these guys, again, higher level than all the people we've seen so far. No offense to most of them. Most of them aren't on this level, with the exception of maybe Anthony Green and maybe Channing Thomas. They're not on the level of a TJ Crawford and a Dante Drago in my mind. Because I think Dante Drago is one of the best in the wrestling landscape right now. I haven't had a chance to talk about him, but he can be comedic when he needs to be. He was serious here tonight. In Chaotic Wrestling, him and Paris Van Dale were a tag team, and their theme song was him singing a version of Lola from Barry Manilow, but it was all about Paris Van Dale. Her name is Paris. She was a champ. Oh, it was fantastic. He is sensational. Dante Drago is the best. He's just that good. I love Dante. But we've seen TJ Crawford now. I think this is the fourth time. This is the third time you've talked about him. It's the fourth time I have, because he was on the Narcissistic Behavior show as well. The more I see TJ Crawford, the more I love TJ Crawford. Also, the more I see of TJ Crawford on Twitter, the more I love TJ Crawford. And Ashley doesn't like this one, but we're going to talk about this here because I'm going to. TJ Crawford will be taking on October 12th, he'll be taking on Cold Brew Cappuccino Jones who is the WWE ID Independent Champion. If TJ Crawford wins this match, he not only becomes the ID champion, but he also gets a WWE ID contract. That's a big deal for him. And Cold Brew Jones got on it, and he goes, "This is my title." And he started the tweet with an ad. And TJ got on him going, "Come on, WWE needs to send you to media training because you don't start a tweet with an ad. You should lose the title just for that." And I love that when you're trying to be an asshole, the thing that you point to is somebody's Twitter game isn't good enough. Like, to me, this is great because this is just fun shit. Like, he's not attacking any part of his game, who he is, or anything. He's attacking the fact that he's not media savvy enough to be a WWE superstar. And to me, that's a lot of fun. This match goes a million miles an hour, and the only bad spot in this match is the spot where Dante kind of like flip curls into the ring, and TJ slaps the ring post 5 seconds after he saw Dante get back in the ring. And I get it. It's hard to do that spot the way they were planning on doing it, so you kind of just got to go with it. Other than that, this match is essentially flawless. I love everything about this. Most importantly, I love the crowd participation during this match. And the crowd was, for the most part, really fun all night long. There were a couple times where the crowd got on my nerves, on my last nerve a couple times. But I really enjoyed this crowd. They were loud, they were animated, they were into everything they were seeing. Most importantly, and this happened a lot during the Bryce Donovan match, and I forgot to mention it there. Bryce Donovan found a kid in the crowd who was getting on him. And he kept telling him, "This is your fault," and then would do bad things to Evil Kip. That is sensational heel work from Bryce Donovan. TJ gets the win with the help of some friends and knocking down the referee and all kinds of good stuff. And TJ is the new Creative Pro TV champion. Absolutely adore this. This was chef's kiss from beginning to end. And it's just more gold for TJ Crawford as he goes to win the new WWE ID title in a couple of weeks. Astrid, your thoughts?
I mean, the first thing since I saw him, all I can think of was like, how long is it going to be until he gets a WID, like, contract somehow, or whatever you want to call it? Because he was so impressive, in particularly in this match. He was doing so many styles there. He was able to adapt to so many changes throughout the match, from being slow to doing high, fast-paced kind of things, submissions, everything. It's like, what else is he going to show us in this match? The thing is just an indie match, to think about it that way. He's not even on TV, but he put such an effort in the match, and I like both of them, but TJ definitely shined a lot brighter here in this match. He was like, if I could pick an MVP in the match, it would be definitely him. And the way he was able to show himself off as a heel and everything, I love the fact that even as a heel, I was cheering him on because I wanted him to win the match at the end. And it's like, it's not often when you get a heel that it's working so well that you're like, I want you to win at this point. And he puts you in that position because of how well he's working in the match. And he was just incredible. I loved watching him from beginning to end. So I'm glad at the end that he won the title, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Crawford is epically fantastic. Post-match, we had an attack on Dante Drago where Rocker Boy Nick Robles makes the save. That'll be important throughout the rest of the show. I would say later, but later comes multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on. Speaking of which, people I wish would go away and never come back. Platinum Max Caster. I haven't had the opportunity to talk about Platinum Max Caster on our local establishment, and we're going to continue that. Platinum Max is a babyface at Creator Pro. Don't know why. He tried to get a chant going of Max Caster is the best wrestler, to which the crowd was not going to join in. So he kept doing it.
That was painful.
All of this for a 5-minute open challenge, which is answered by Check's Notes Leo Sparrow. I will say there is nothing impressive about either of these gentlemen. I was more impressed with Leo Sparrow, where all the shenanigans he pulls later in the show, than I was here. Because 5-minute open challenges are done. Like, I have my issues with the WWE speed. I like the speed stuff because I like the idea of having a 5-minute match where both people go into it knowing we're just going hell for leather. That poses an interesting dynamic because there's a prize at the end of it. This is just wrestle Max Caster for 5 minutes. I'm just glad he didn't rap his way to the ring because those tend to be bad. Leo Sparrow gets the win. Is there anything you want to add to this?
I'm just saying that part with the chant was really painful to watch because that delay between him saying it and the people starting to chant it because he started the chant, not because they did, it really hurt me inside. Because I'm like, we always say as a wrestler, that's what they want. They want that reaction, whether it's positive or negative. But for you to come out and say, oh, let's chant this, and nobody starts to chant, you have a problem when you're not getting a reaction, and you have to start it yourself. But I'm glad it was only 5 minutes.
Yeah, if it had been any longer than 5 minutes, it would have been bad. Sorry, I'm trying to set something else up here. I apologize. We move on to something that Astrid wants to talk lots about, so I'm going to let her talk about this in full, everything she wants to say about it. VSK himself taking on the Bronx Boricua himself, Mike Santana.
And the captain for Team TNA. Yes, let's go.
With his questionable team, but we'll get into that. By the way,
TNA, let's go.
By the way, I picked that team halfway through the show.
Yeah.
I'm like, this seems to be Team TNA. And Astrid's like, well, yeah, that seems like it might be it. And I'm like, the only thing is I thought they were putting Cardona on the team at one point, but...
Yeah, that was kind of painful. I feel bad kind of for him a little bit.
I don't feel bad for Cardona in any way, shape, or form. But anyways, Santana versus VSK.
Oh, so first I'll say that I love VSK's gear. It reminds me of old school Shawn Michaels, the Shawn Michaels that I watched. And once I saw that, I cannot unsee that. And I feel like I made a connection with him that I didn't make before. And I really enjoyed that. But I love the fact that Santana plays off a lot with the crowd in this match. Trying to get like the way they cheer for him and the back and forth they had at the beginning, trying to one up each other was really fun. And then he takes down VSK in such a way that just made me laugh and obviously made the crowd laugh as well. So I think that was pretty fun. Love the three amigos. I love seeing that tribute that he makes to Eddie there because Eddie, it's one of the people that I always loved watching wrestling. So it's always nice when you get to see those little tributes to him. Overall, I feel like the match is exactly what it needed to be, and it's exactly how I pictured it with Santana winning at the end. But it's like the chemistry they have with each other was really fun to watch. With that, I don't want to call it basic because that doesn't sound right, but it's like it was a great babyface versus heel kind of chemistry that they had going on here. So it was pretty fun to watch it, and now I enjoy VSK more than I did before, which is something that I can't say before this match. So now I'm looking forward to watching more VSK matches after this because I just feel like I have a different kind of feel towards him now after watching this match.
You feel more like you understand VSK a bit more now than you did with him just constantly running in on the Bryce Donovan Bobby Orlando match, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this for a lot of the same reasons. I instantly, like Astrid, saw VSK's gear and went to. And Astrid says when she was watching, like, this gear goes all the way back to when I was watching Shawn Michaels as my favorite wrestler. Like, he doesn't have the assless version of the chaps, but these are essentially like Shawn Michaels assless chaps kind of gear. It looked like it had hearts on it, probably for the Til Death Do Us part aspect of the show. I thought this was fantastic. Again, Mike Santana. What can you say that you don't already see on a weekly basis on TNA? What can you say that you're not seeing on NXT right now? What can you say that you don't see every time you see Santana go out in the ring? He's crisp, he's clean. The people love him everywhere. He should have won the TNA title at Slammiversary in his home state with a crowd that loved him. Granted, there is a large Puerto Rican contingent in Lowell, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. He'll get a nice response. The problem is Lowell, Mass also really loves Trick Williams. And that's a bad... This should have been the return match with Santana defending against Trick. That's neither here nor there. That's Battle for Glory. VSK is so good. He's that perfect heel of being an absolute asshole. But he's so compelling because of the way he wrestles and the ability he has to draw you in to everything that goes on. That C4 I really thought was going to win him the match. I really did. Mm-hmm. The C4 into the frog splash, into the pin. Thought that was it. But then Santana hits the, around the block, I think he calls it? Santana's finish?
I'm terrible with the finishers.
Okay. Santana hits his finish, and that finishes the match. As it should. Santana's great. I love Santana. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with Santana. But I love that it was Santana overcoming a little bit of adversity too, because you had Eric James on the outside try to get involved and not be able to do it. Remember the name Eric James. We'll talk about him in a bit. Mm-hmm. Another good match. And again, it's nice to see Santana working the indies. It's nice to see Santana doing these smaller shows because you can see how loved he really is on some of these small shows. And while you can see it on the big shows too, it's nice to get that full-throated reaction for a Santana. Especially when you have these crowds that are smaller and again, this is a relatively small crowd show. Mm-hmm. But that's what the indies are. Like most indies are 100 to 200 to 250, 300 people. Yeah. That's what you're going to do for most indie shows. And that's okay because these fans are fully invested and they're not sitting there on their fucking hands the whole show or trying to mug for the camera because they paid $6,000 for their tickets to be front row green shirt guy. So it's just one of those things where it's like, it's just nice to see.
I feel more than anything, I'm glad that Santana took this leap of faith, to put it like that, of him getting himself out there and not only being in TNA, but being in the indies, because I feel like it's one of those things that you grow a connection with the fans the more they see you. And that's something that he's been proving by actually working all these shows and all these different companies. You see, like, the connection that he has with the crowd, it keeps growing and growing. It's something that he didn't have before because I feel like he's putting himself more out there now than he did before. And I'm really glad he is. That, to me, the only thing, like you said, with the TNA part of it, I would have definitely crowned him then, because I feel like just like Joe Hendry, you don't have a lot of time left with Santana and TNA. So you got to take advantage of it while you can, because after that, I doubt he'll be coming back anytime soon.
TNA just knows how to TNA. Like,
Thinking
no
about
offense. I love TNA, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to putting world championships on superstars when they're hot, they always seem to wait just like a little too long to do it. We move on to, okay. I'm all for comedy matches. I'm all for change of pace. No, I'm not always picking on TNA. I've been a TNA fan for a long time. I paid to watch TNA shows. And I'm not talking TNA like AJ Styles, like at the top of his career. I'm talking weekly TNA shows when they were $9.99 on pay-per-view. And the only way you saw TNA was if you paid for it. Like, I go all the way back to NWA associated TNA with Ron the Truth Killings as the NWA champion, the Flying Elvises, the Kings of Wrestling, not that Kings of Wrestling, but the Kevin Nash, X-Pac, Sean Waltman, and Scott Hall version of the Kings of Wrestling. Jeff Jarrett, that was all of TNA, but Jeff Jarrett being the best. No, we don't talk about Teddy Hart and TNA.
No.
We don't talk about Teddy Hart, period.
I was about to say just period.
We don't talk about Teddy Hart, period. I love TNA. I've always said that TNA is the little promotion that could. I think I can survive. I think I can survive. I think I can survive. No other wrestling promotion could have survived all the things that TNA has. Between the Bischoff Hogan era, between going up against Raw on Monday nights for some godforsaken reason, to almost not being able to put on a Bound for Glory pay-per-view because they couldn't afford to pay the talent on the day of the show, and Billy Pumpkins had to come in and fucking save them. Like TNA has survived everything.
Hashtag never forget.
I love how that's the thing that everybody's like, TNA hashtag never forget Billy Pumpkins saved the promotion. But like,
Forget it.
It's a fucked up moment that you think a guy who was like, I love wrestling, I'm here, and they're like, by the way, can we borrow like $30,000 to pay our talent for the show? Just crazy. Anyways, this is not that, because this is Rocker Boy Nick Robles, Just Joe, Eddie the Sweeper Prevete, and PWI ranked CPA. We love CPA here. No CPA slander will be tolerated.
No.
Taking on, oh boy, Liam Davis, JGeorge, and QGTM, which was never quite explained what that is or why they're named that.
Yeah, it's still a question to me.
With Jay Mesias and
Good
Pat
night.
Fitzpatrick. Bye, Brett. Thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Oh boy. This match happened. And things happened. and people wore bald caps for reasons. I like CPA. I think he's great. I'm so glad he was on the PWI list because I think he deserves it. I think Nick Robles has a future here. I think Nick Robles he's got a look.
He stands out.
He does. He's got a good indie thing going. I don't know how he translates what he is and what he does to television wrestling going forward. but I paid indie money to go watch Nick Robles wrestle. I would want to see him on more shows. I think he's got something. This whole rocker, like 80s hair metal rocker dude, I could get behind that gimmick. Him and CPA as a tag team, I could get behind that. I think there's something in that.
No.
The rest of this match could honestly just go in the fucking... No offense to any of this talent. Just Joe, the sweeper dude, who I have a bad feeling just like sweeps up after the shows, and that's why his name is the sweeper. It's like he just cleans up after the show.
Bendito.
Poor Prevete. Poor Prevete. And the rest of the guys, they're fine. There was a Kevin Owens lookalike. I honestly can't tell you which one it is because I don't know. Because that was the one downfall of the commentary is they didn't explain to us who this other 14 was on the heel side. So I don't know which one was which. But there was definitely a Kevin Owens lookalike in this match.
I think that's the only downfall I have with, I would say, with commentaries. Like, I wish you would have told us a little bit more of who was in the match. Because you have like a Nick Robles that stands such. You in your mind know this one's Nick. But I feel like on the other side, the team with the initials, that one I wouldn't know which one's which from one or the other one. And I was like, and they're not even twins. So I was like, I hate the fact that I don't know which one's which here. And if it wasn't for Nick and CPA, because I already knew him, I really can't really relate or connect to anybody else either, because this match is just one of those comedy matches that it wasn't my cup of tea, to be honest. This was the only match that I would say is like kind of like a downfall for me here. And I had to like push through it because I knew I wanted to watch the main event and see how the wedding turned out. But it was one of those things like I had to power through it, as they say. It's like me. I can compare it to a book of like I had those moments that it dips, and I'm like, I want to finish it. I want to know how it ends. So I pushed through that part that seems slow because I want to get to the end, and that's how it felt like in here.
Yeah, like I said, there's nothing wrong with any of the wrestling here. The wrestling here was fine, but there was nothing other than the fact that it was a CPA match that made me want to keep watching. And again, that's fine. Not every wrestler has to appeal to everybody. I'm sure some people really like this match. And again, you need these types of matches because I think Just Joe feels like he's a young guy who's just getting his start. I feel like the sweeper is kind of a guy towards the end of his career who's just kind of there to help put over young talent. And so I think like there's a give and take to a lot of these guys in there. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. But when you stack that up with the rest of the show, it just feels like it's a big letdown from everything else we've watched and what we're going to watch going forward. We then get to our main event match, but not our main event segment, of the Creative Pro Wrestling Championship match with the champion Bobby Orlando, the goatest of all goats. We've seen him before. We loved him. We've seen him twice before. The man who always wrestles every match like he's completely fucking gassed, and his stamina meter is always on fucking empty if you're playing 2K25. Seriously, like this man, the way he sells, and I love Bobby Orlando. I think Bobby Orlando is great. I adore Bobby because he was serious here, but we saw him when he tagged with CPA and he's doing the comedy stuff and he's fantastic. We saw him against Bryce Donovan and you had that personal vendetta match. There's so many sides to Bobby Orlando, and he's really good in the ring. Like, yes, you can make fun of the things like I'm going to do with he constantly feels like he's always out of breath in the way he sells. Like he's you can sell pain, but he sells like he's exhausted every moment of every match. Which again is fine, but it's an odd thing to do. We then had Eric James, who we saw earlier tonight with VSK. Jack Tomlinson, the budget CAP version of The Miz. He thinks he's an actor. He's a wannabe actor with a stunt double. The only problem is his stunt double is a 6'4" or 5" black man named Bobby Casale, who, by the way, I need to see more of Bobby Casale because that dude has presence. Like,
Yeah,
I
he's
want to
really
buy
different.
his shirt. I liked his sidewalk slam. Like, he reminded me of a smaller Black Diesel. And that's a good thing. Because I grew up loving Diesel as the guy for Shawn Michaels. And again, he may not have had the best matches, but I'm not talking about his wrestling style or like his ability. I'm talking about the fact that he's got a look and he's got a gravitational pull to him. And unlike The Miz, he didn't pick a stunt double that looked even remotely like him. Like, Damien Sandow may not look like The Miz, but it was at least somewhat believable that he was The Miz's stunt double. Whereas Bobby Casale is obviously not Jack Tomlinson. And then we had our fourth member in this match, Aaron the Dime Piece Rourke, who unfortunately didn't get to watch wrestle tonight, which was sad. Because I really need Astrid to watch Aaron Rourke in a singles match to really show off who he is and what he can do. Because that's one thing we haven't gotten to do on these shows yet, is get a really good... And I saw this match on the card, and I'm like, oh, this is great. This will be an opportunity for Aaron Rourke to really show up and show out, because he was a long-time Creative Pro Wrestling champion. He hadn't had his rematch, so it all made sense, and they take him out backstage. Aaron Rourke gets attacked backstage and is pretty much a non-factor for the entire match. It turns into a triple threat match, and Bobby Orlando does a fantastic job being the only babyface, dealing with a heel and a tweener. Like, I know Eric James is a heel in his business, but in this match, Eric James really felt like a tweener in between. Like, he was taking advantage of things, but he really wasn't cheating a whole lot until the very end when VSK came out to help him when it was a singles match. But I thought when Jack was out here before Aaron Rourke does come back out, makes the save on a pinfall, and he chases Tomlinson to the back with Bobby Casale, that's when Eric switches from tweener to heel. And it really keeps the match going on a really strong note. This match starts as a fatal four-way, turns into a triple threat by the time the bell rings. And by the time the match is over, it was a singles match. And it wasn't even an elimination match, which chef's kiss seat cap. That's fantastic. Creative Pro, good job on that, because I really enjoyed a lot of this match. Bobby Orlando has such a connection to people. And again, a lot of it is the kids. There were two kids holding up the Bobby Jr. goat. But by the way, what a great piece of merchandise to sell. Because you sell that shit to kids like candy. So, good job on Bobby Orlando to do that. I really liked this match. I thought it was a whole bunch of fun. Bobby Orlando gets the win. Ashley, what did you think about the main event match?
I mean, you mentioned pretty much all of it, but yeah, I was looking forward to watching Aaron, and then I see that he gets attacked, so I was already kind of disappointed because I didn't get to watch it the way I thought it would be. But I like that even with the changes of, like you said, going from a fatal four-way to a three-way to a one-on-one, that it happens so smoothly that you don't even realize it when it's happening until after, when you're like, wait, somebody's gone, this one gets attacked, so it's only two people here at the end. But the way they do it, even with the distractions and the outside interference, like everything's done in such a great timing that you don't even realize it into the end, that you're like, oh, the match is over. Like, I feel like I was enjoying the match and I didn't want it to end, and all of a sudden I feel like it was over, and I was like, I want more though, because the action was so great and there was so much happening at the same time. But I like the fact that we have Bobby still retaining at the end. But overall, it was a fun match to have. Like, to me, it made me like reflect overall on the whole card. And aside from that comedy match, just made me realize that I enjoyed every single match and everything was so different. Everything delivered for me aside from that. And it was entertaining, and they were all entertaining in different ways, which is what I liked about it. There was nothing that I could say like, oh, this was repeated or anything like that. So it was overall pretty fun, but still have the Aaron Rourke thing that I have on my list that I haven't seen it seen him on a one-on-one. But
We'll get you there. Don't you worry.
That's the only one. But aside from that, overall pretty fun match, and I really enjoyed it there.
Hey, we got Conrad in the chat. If you need your post-show AEW fix, you need to make sure you're going ahead and checking out Conrad every Wednesday night after AEW Dynamite. When you've watched our good friends Get the Tables or Ophelia Payne over on The Hive with Jamie Apps, or you go watch our good friend Mike the Ref, or most importantly, you watch all three of them at the same time. Tab all three of them. Go ahead and have some fun watching all three of those. But then after you're done, go ahead and watch Conrad. And if you want to catch up on your week in wrestling, every Monday, Conrad goes ahead and talks with Sean Hubbard of the Hubbard Wrestling Podcast to go ahead and do all of their fine stuff where they go ahead over the biggest topics of the week and they go ahead and talk about all the premium live events or pay-per-view events that are happening. I'm sure they had some TNA and NXT No Mercy coverage over on the channel on Monday. So make sure you go ahead and give that a check out, as it is always fantastic. But we love having Conrad here. We're going to have to see if we can get Conrad to give us some local independent wrestling from his neck of the woods up there to see if there's anything fun going on. Because that will always... I love talking to all of our friends from the wrestling landscape and seeing if we can talk about promotions that are close to them and having them come on and talk about it. I think that would be fun. Because we've got some fun people. Like I've suggested, there's a name that I keep suggesting to you. I'm like, she works in the wrestling business. I think it would be really fun to have her talk about a show that she was on. So, I don't know if you remember who I'm talking about or not.
Maybe.
All right, we'll tell you. I'll talk about it after the show. Anyways, we now get to the main event segment of the night. And oh my God, this is fantastic. Ah, chef's kiss. Mwah. All right, Empire State Wrestling. Oh, Fourth Rope. There we go. I might have to check out Fourth Rope. I'll look up both of those and see where I can find them to see if that's something we can do for the show. Because the new independent wrestling version of this show, it's taken off a bit. We've enjoyed doing it. And most importantly, we're having so much more fun not talking about NXT every week. Because while we love NXT, we still watch NXT on a weekly basis. It's nice to not have to watch and talk about the shows on a Tuesday. The wedding of Sebastian Sebi Amor and the Creator Pro Women's Champion, because if you don't announce her like that, she'll get mad at you. You watch the wedding, you know I'm right. Nat Casale. Astrid, I need your opinion on what you think about the outfits. We asked Mel, and she says they took death to the extreme on that.
Dang, death. It reminded me so much of horror movies, and that's all I can think about when it's on.
By the way, the center of this thumbnail that I put up for the show tonight, that is the scene of the wedding. You've got Sebi Amor on the right. You've got Nat Casale on the left. You've got the general manager behind as the maid of honor. And you can't see him, but we have a fun individual over there. We're going to talk about him in just a little bit. But he's Sebi Amor's tag team partner over there. Okay, Astrid, wrestling wedding. What'd you think?
I'm not a fan of wrestling weddings, to be honest. No.
My poor little index heart just broke.
I mean, that's the only one that I liked out of all of them. That's the only one that really changed it for me in that sort of way. But overall, if I could point out all the wrestling weddings, and the worst one was definitely the Bobby Lashley and Lana one. Like, that's number one for the worst one ever. I mean, I know we're different times, but yeah, this is my worst one. So.
It's up there, but I mean, there have been some real. Remember, TNA had somebody shot during a wedding. So, like, when you're talking about bad weddings, like, somebody got shot during a. Now, granted, you were marrying Rosemary, and you take what chances you have when you marry Rosemary, Johnny Swift.
Yeah.
By the way, that's not a bad wedding. That's a weird ending to a really fucked up great wedding. Yes, but wrestling weddings are goated.
Index is the only one that I really, really loved. And nothing so far has been able to top it. So, nothing. Nothing, I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm so disappointed in you for right now. I can't
always agree on everything. Thankfully.
It's not even agreeing. It's just the pure. All right. So the wedding is progressing as normal. By the way, crowd was all over Sebi here. Also, Astrid, what did you think about the tag team name, Los Toxicos? Los Toxicos. The Toxic Men. What did you think of the Toxic Men?
Oh, I forgot about the Laura Van Ness one.
Yeah,
but still, it's not in the list of worst ones though for me. I don't know. Maybe it's me.
Really?
No, I feel like Bobby Lashley and Lana still take it for me.
I mean, that one's pretty bad.
It's like I think of like the layer of like it was a wedding, and then the interruptions that were random on top of it, plus the fact that it was the last Raw of the year, and this is how it ended. Like that was our main event. Psh. Yeah, I got a couple of reasons for that one. So.
So disappointed. So disappointed.
Yeah.
Anyways, this is indeed a wrestling wedding. As they're getting ready to ask if anybody doesn't, if anybody objects to the wedding, out come TJ and Nick still brawling from earlier in the show, which was fantastic. Then, after they start to clear that out of the way, Bobby Orlando comes through the crowd. He goes ahead and gets on the mic because what we didn't talk about during the main event match was that Leo Sparrow came out and beat down Bobby Orlando and stole the Creative Pro Wrestling Championship. Mm-hmm. So he calls out Leo Sparrow. Sparrow says, "You want your title back, there's only one way you're going to get it. Give me a title match at the next show." Bobby Orlando agrees, and then they start brawling. Bobby Orlando jumps off the top rope into the crowd of people. It's fantastic. Everything else keeps brawling. Everything else is going out. And then the Savage Gnomes come out. Bear Bronson and Gabby Forza come out. And if you haven't had the opportunity to see Fun Bear Bronson before, you've missed out. Bear Bronson is such a lovable dude. And right now, he's on the middle of his deathmatch run, and good for him. Oh, okay. Wrestling Row Elver has a wedding. Okay, that's cool. Bear Bronson and Gabby come out and they have a gift. They talk about how much they love and how they were part of the greatest Creative Pro Wrestling wedding because they're legitimately married because of Creative Pro Wrestling. They met at the training center. They fall in love. They're actually husband and wife. They pull people out of the crowd who are newlyweds that they happen to know, who are at the show, who are longtime Creative Pro fans. That gets a big pop. Bear Bronson comes over and he starts talking and he goes, "By the way, at next month's show, the Savage Gnomes are taking on Priscilla Kelly and Zachary Wentz." And I went, "Ooh, that'll be a fun show." Mm-hmm. But they have a gift for the wedding. They have a gift for the wedding party. So they get one of these jabronis on the ground to go ahead and get up and go deliver the gift. And by the way, they're cracking jokes the entire time. And they give Nat Castle a gift, and she starts unwrapping it. And I shit you not, there were so many layers of wrapping paper to this gift. It took Nat Castle 1 minute and 39 seconds to unwrap it. How do I know it took 1 minute and 39 seconds? I physically timed it on my stopwatch today when I watched it again because of the fact that I needed to know how long it took because it felt like it took forever. The gift, though, was a Shotzi Blackheart figurine because the newly crowned women's Creative Pro champion Nat Castle herself has a match against Shotzi Blackheart at the next show. That was announced as the gift. She's not happy. Sebi's still not happy because he still hasn't gotten married to his girl. And then they decide to tell us that the GM has somebody here who wants to talk to her. And out comes Vargas. And I don't know if anybody knows who Vargas is, but he's a big dude. And I didn't know how to properly describe him. Thank you. I appreciate it. So, Bear Bronson on the left, Gabby Forza on the right. In the center is Vargas. He's a big, beefy dude. By the way, need to see more of him and Bear Bronson tagging because this looks like a whole bunch of fun. He comes out and he chases off the GM because she's apparently screwed him in some way, shape, or form in the past. We then go ahead and get to everybody back out and brawling. The whole wedding's on shenanigans now. Everybody's fighting. Everybody's hitting finishing moves left, right, and center. And at the end of it, Amor is left standing in the ring by himself. Somehow, Sebi stands tall at the end of everything. Until out comes Slade. For those of you that have watched Josh Barnett's Bloodsport, you'll remember Slade as the guy who got disqualified in Bloodsport, which is hard to do, taking on Timothy Thatcher WrestleMania weekend. No, SummerSlam weekend. It wasn't the one that just happened. It was the one before that. I don't remember which weekend it is. It was a big wrestling weekend. It was fantastic. It was the one that Natty main evented. Anyways, Slade comes out. He ends up putting Amor through a table. And then Nat Castle gets the wedding cake to the face via Gabby Forza. The baby faces all celebrate.
It was August, so it has to be around SummerSlam time.
SummerSlam weekend.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was one of the two. I just didn't know which one.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great. I love this. By the way, the best part is during the middle of all the chaos, the guy who was officiating the wedding announced that the wedding was made official. And he says, "You can kiss your bride." And Amor was standing face to face with Slade. And he closed his eyes and tried to get a kiss from Slade to make everything better. It didn't go well.
No.
This was fantastic. I loved Create a Pro Wrestling here. This was a fantastic show for us to watch. Top to bottom, I think this show was just fantastic. I mean, a wrestling wedding, really good wrestling, top to bottom. Like, really, top to bottom, this show was everything you kind of want it to be. Astrid, do you think we'll come back to Creative Pro Wrestling Academy in the future?
Yes, I feel like out of the whole card, there was only one match that I wasn't a fan of. Everything else I really enjoyed it for different reasons too. So definitely enjoyed it. I want to see the Savage Gnomes too. So any card we get to see them teaming up later on, I would love to see it as well because that's what I'm looking forward to during this whole project now, I guess, if you want to call it.
And most importantly, the one thing I want to talk about with this is not only do we want to become fans of more wrestling promotions, but we want to help these wrestling promotions gain new fans. So if you guys haven't watched it, but you've heard us talk about this, go ahead in November and make sure that you're keeping an eye on the Creative Pro Wrestling YouTube channel at Creative Pro Wrestling to go ahead and watch their next show because these shows air live on YouTube and then they come back on as an on-demand thing. Go ahead and follow them on Twitter. Go ahead and follow them on YouTube. Find their socials. Go ahead and watch these promotions because this is a really cool promotion that I know I'm going to keep up with. I think Ashley will probably poke in now and then to watch it. And the fact that it's free on YouTube makes it easier. And again, like I said, next week, Killer Smoke Show from WrestlePro is going to be our show of the week. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fantastic matches on that show, but main evented by the indie return of Killer Cross taking on in a no disqualifications match Richard Holiday, the Narcissist. So, and apparently newly signed to the NWA. So good for Richard Holiday.
Mhm.
Nice of him to get that. But Astrid, tell the good people where they can find you, what you've got coming up in the near future.
For me, my YouTube channel, I know this past week, we had the Killer Cuts episode of The Long Walk. If you haven't seen it, please check it out because it was a really good movie. We do have another one coming up, and we do have plans to record a little bit more with a couple other movies. So watch out for that if you like those. I know we're definitely going to be talking about Megan pretty soon, Megan 2.0, if you haven't seen it. That one just hit Peacock if you have it still. It was a little bit of a different watch, so we'll definitely talk about it soon. So yeah, overall enjoying what's going on, and hopefully pretty soon we'll talk about Strangers Chapter 2 out of 3. So really excited for that one too when I get to watch it. Other than that, you can find me my Twitter and Blue Skies Astrid Pizarro, my Instagram and Threads Astrid Pizarro 20, and as you see me here every Tuesday with this one right here, as he said the Killer Smoke Show for next week, but. Yeah, pretty fun overall. If you haven't yet, please check out all the stuff on Ol'Ed. We're pretty close to hitting that level to get monetized too. So even if you watch the show tonight, if you can watch it tomorrow in the background while you're doing something else, so we can get those watch hours going, which is the only thing that we need left to be able to hit the monetization level on YouTube. So, and if you're here on mine and just in OLE, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell to be notified when we upload or go live, and hit the like button too and everything we do.
Yeah. You can find me at all the places that you normally find me, but I've decided to do a little bit of promotional work here because I'm doing a little bit of promotional work for them. TNA's Bound for Glory is taking place in Lowell, Massachusetts on October 12th. This is going to be a big show. It is always one of their biggest shows of the year. If Slammiversary is their WrestleMania, this is their SummerSlam. It's a great show. It's always going to be fantastic. We've got Order 4 taking on the System in an all-out war match. And it'll be interesting to know that this is a bit of a home match for the System, unfortunately, because Eddie Edwards is from Boston, Lish is from Boston, and Moose, unfortunately, played professional football here. So, but I'm hoping Order 4 gets the big win here. As announced at the end of Victory Road the other day, Leon Slater is taking on NXT Javon Evans for the TNA X Division Championship. This is going to be incredible. If you saw these two wrestle tonight as a tag team on NXT, just think what these guys are going to do as opponents in a match in a couple weeks. The Knockouts champion, Kalani Jordan. Yes, if you didn't watch Victory Road, Ash by Elegance, unfortunately, is no longer to be able to compete. She vacated the title. They had a battle royal where the last two were Kalani Jordan and formerly Xia Li. I don't want to mispronounce her name, but I believe it's Xia Li Ying. Li Ying Li. Sorry, I knew I was going to butcher it. Anyways, they were the final two, so they had a one-on-one match, and now it's going to be Kalani Jordan taking on Indy Hartwell for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Of course, one final time, the Hardys and the Dudleys in a tables match. This is going to bring all the childhood feels for me because I've watched these teams for decades. This has been a tough year of professional wrestling for me because all of my favorites are starting to leave the business. I'm losing the Hardys. I'm losing the Dudleys. I'm losing John Cena. It's good. In 1 month, I'm going to see last times live for the Hardys, John Cena, and the Dudleys live and in person. It's going to be a tough one. Of course, we do also have two people going in, two different sets of Hall of Fame inductions. In WWE, you might want to take a note about this one, as my co-host said on Twitter. The beautiful people are being inducted into the TNA Wrestling Hall of Fame. Congratulations to Velvet Sky and Angelina Love. Well-deserved, fantastic. They were a backbone of the Knockouts division in the early days of TNA. They absolutely deserve to be going in the Hall of Fame. And speaking of people who are vital parts of the Knockouts division, WWE. Did you know you could put 2 sets of women in the Hall of Fame in the same year? Mickie James. The hardcore cowgirl herself, hardcore country, Mickie James is going into the TNA Hall of Fame. Multiple-time TNA Knockouts champion. One of the greatest women to ever grace the professional wrestling ring. It's going to be fantastic to see her live doing this. And of course,
the first woman to cross the line to WWE. Hint, hint.
Yes, she did indeed cross the line first when she took the TNA Knockouts Championship into the Royal Rumble. But of course, we can't forget about our main event. Trick Williams taking on Mike Santana in a match that's going to make Astrid faint. The fact that I get to be there and Astrid can't hurts Astrid physically, that she can't be that close to Mike Santana.
Technically, he's in my backyard right now. I can't even see him.
I know, he's right down the street, and you chose not to go.
No, it's not down the street. I wish it was.
But again, Bound for Glory will be there. If you want to watch it, you can go ahead and watch it on TNA Plus. However, you will need to purchase this as it is not one of the ones that are included with your membership. There are wonderful TNA codes going on right now. If you go to TNA's website, I'm sure you can get a code for your first month free. But remember, this will be a $40 pay-per-view otherwise, or if you're in the area, you can get your wrestling tickets at TNAwrestling.com. Go to their ticket section. You can go ahead and get tickets for it. I'm very excited that I'm going to get the opportunity via TNA to go watch this show. But even if I weren't, I would want to talk about this show because we've done so much with the NXT brand that finally having a lot of NXT TNA crossover and Astrid having hosted TNA shows in the past, this would obviously be something we would be talking about on a wrestling show that we're on. So I'm very excited to be able to go to talk about it. So make sure you go ahead and take your opportunity. That's me plugging my stuff for the week. If you want, you can go on my Twitter and find anything I did. Thank you very much for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. Next week, we'll be back with the Killer Smoke Show. But until then, I've been Ed. This has been Astrid. We are out of here. Talk to you later. Goodbye.
I am in misery.